My name's Sophia, and together with my husband Liam, we have a plan to sail around the world on our yacht Sareda. Right now it's April 2020 and we're in lockdown in the UK due to the coronavirus. But this time last year, buying a yacht was something we thought we'd do years in the future. All we knew was that we wanted to travel the world. So I thought it might be a good idea to make a video on how we went from planning to travel the world the traditional way via aeroplane, to planning to travel by crewing on other people's yachts, to then buying our own boat. We got into sailing by doing our day skipper theory and our yacht master theory, and by crewing in local yacht races. The clips in this next part of the video were all filmed during those races in the last 3.5 years. And when they were filmed, they weren't intended to go on YouTube, so some of them are the wrong way round, and I do apologise for that. Although we'd been sailing for the past 3.5 years, we'd never actually considered travelling by sailing until a friend of mine sent me a link to a Sailing La Vagabond video. That really gave us the inspiration to want to sail around the world. However, we thought there's no way we would be able to become that famous and make that much money to fund ourselves. It seemed very unattainable, so we started to seriously consider crewing for other people, thinking that by doing that we would get to travel, learn an incredible amount about sailing, and it will be nowhere near as expensive as buying a boat and doing it ourselves. We started by making profiles on findacrew.net and Crewbay. There are other websites, but those two were free to create a profile on. And then we started looking on those websites for people that will be crossing the Atlantic that year. Now the problems we found were that not everybody is willing to take on a couple, so that reduced the amount of potential people to contact. Then I guess the biggest thing when looking at potential boats is the description of the other crew that will be on that boat. Crossing the Atlantic takes around 3 weeks, so that's a long time to be stuck on a small boat with somebody you don't know. You have to filter out all the people that sound really boring or strict or like absolute wackos until you're left with a few people that actually sound pretty cool. Then we started to contact those people. Not everybody replied, and the replies that we did get were basically the reason why we decided not to crew for people. And I just want to say here that this was just our experience, and I do urge you to do your own research, because you'd probably contact completely different people to us and maybe get completely different replies. But anyway, the replies that we got were that people wanted a lot of money to come on their boat. One guy said he wanted $100 per person per day to cover our food expenses and stuff. And we thought, that's just insane. What on earth are we going to be eating that warrants that much money? And other people we contacted weren't asking for quite as much, but still way more than we were willing to pay. In my personal opinion, if I'm coming on your boat as crew to help you sail the boat and do night watches and cook and clean, and in essence work for you, then there's no way that I should be paying you. You should be providing food for me as my payment for my work. If I join your boat as a complete novice and you teach me, then fair enough, I'd be happy to contribute towards food costs. But unless I'm just going to chill on your boat for a holiday, then there's no way I should be paying anywhere near as much as $100 a day. But that's just my personal view on it, and everyone will have their own opinions. And please don't let this put you off. Maybe we were just unlucky with the people that we contacted. And we did give up reasonably quickly. So if you're quite keen to crew, then just keep contacting people and I'm sure you'll find someone. But if you're only just getting into sailing, then I really recommend at least doing the day skipper theory course and crewing in local races. We got so much experience and made some really good friends by racing. Even if we don't do well in a race, it's just nice to be out on the water and maybe spot some wildlife. We've also just gone out cruising on the boat we crew on to experience and practice things like night sailing. Doing courses and crewing in races also means making contacts and getting to know people who have tons of experience with yachts. They can give you great advice and even bits of kit they've accumulated in their yachting life that are no longer useful to them, but very useful and helpful to you. We hadn't completely given up on the idea of crewing for other people to travel the world, but in August 2019 we were told of a guy in the yacht club who was selling his yacht for £600. Liam wasn't too interested. He was really ready to quit his job and go travelling, and he didn't want to be tied down. I, however, thought there was no harm in going and looking at it. It was a 23-foot SK700 racing yacht called Skullduggery. She wasn't in the cleanest and tidiest of states, but she was perfectly saleable, so we bought her. And the next clips in this video were all taken while we were sailing Skullduggery. Again, they weren't intended for YouTube, so some of them are the wrong way around. Our day skipper and yachtmaster theory courses and crewing in races gave us an excellent foundation for sailing. However, there's nothing quite like owning your own boat and being your own captain. We enjoyed the freedom of going out whenever we wanted, not just on race day, although we were of course limited by the tides and the weather, especially in a small but deep-keeled boat. We also enjoyed just being able to relax. Once we were out of the harbour, the sails were up and we were heading where we wanted to go, then we could just chill. Once we had a lovely picnic while out sailing. We also learnt a lot, as Skullduggery was very different to the boat we raced on, Takazar, so we had to work a lot out as we went along. We loved owning our own boat so much that we started to do some serious research into buying a much bigger ocean-going boat and into the costs and realities of sailing around the world. We put a lot of time into researching, and so I might do a separate video on how we went from watching Sailing La Vagabond and assuming we could never afford to buy a blue water cruiser and sail around the world, to a few months later owning a 35-foot yacht with a detailed plan to sail the world starting in December 2020. But the basic gist of our research was that it doesn't have to be that expensive. You don't need a 40-odd foot boat that costs £100,000. And actually, you can cruise cheaply if you're willing to compromise some luxuries. So I'll go into more detail about buying Sareda and our round-the-world plans in another video, but owning Skullduggery made it completely clear to us that sailing the world in our own boat was actually attainable and the right choice for us over crewing for other people. We've now sold Skullduggery, as we couldn't really afford to pay the berthing fees for 2 yachts. I did really miss having her, because now we don't have a boat in Scarborough. But I've kind of stopped missing her now we're in lockdown, so we couldn't go out sailing even if we wanted to. Thank you for watching. That was our first YouTube video, so please be nice. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and keep a lookout for more videos coming up soon.